Okay, good morning everybody. Happy Thursday to you. Welcome to today's first of two streams. We are on the Train Sim World 2. We are on the Boston Sprinter. Surprise. So, I kind of got things started up a little bit, but we haven't jumped fully into our locomotive just yet. But here we are in the nice, somewhat wintry weather here in Boston. I do believe this is the Boston station. Let's see if we can find a sign that confirms or denies this. I think we are. If I remember correctly, this is the Boston station. But anyway, we are going to do the training scenarios at a minimum. So let's climb up into here. In the AC-64, have a seat.
You can pause the experience at any point and review previous and current objectives. Check it out now, then return to the game when ready.
So looks like this is what we're going to do to start with.
A heads-up display has appeared on the right-hand side of the screen. This is a guide to what the train is doing. This is the speed display. The white needle shows current speed. The red marker indicates the maximum permitted speed. This is the direction display. An arrow will indicate forward, reverse, and neutral directions.
Good morning, Mick. How are you? Oh, Mick, we have to talk.
This is the power display. A number will indicate what position the power control is in.
I'll tell you what. Last night...
These are brake indicators. They show the state of the various brake systems, allowing independent management of them.
I did all of the
in the
landing
top right are the signal and speed limit displays.
in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I almost said we don't have landing scenarios in Train Sim World 2. We have scenarios. Anyway,
some of these displays can be hidden via the settings menu for a more challenging experience.
They are some of the craziest sort of challenges I have ever... I thought some of the scenarios in Train Sim World 2 were a bit crazy. Nah. Some of the scenarios they put you in on those landing challenges is just nuts. Like, to the point where you're just like, what am I doing? What are, it makes you question everything you think you know about Microsoft Flight Simulator, and how we get kind of comfortable in a way flying in perfect weather. Everywhere we go, the weather's perfect and it's sunny and it's no wind or whatever. I'll tell you what, in some of the situations, the wind, you're on a nice, you're flying and you've got to land at this little airport. It's a dirt runway, and you think you've got the aircraft lined up, and then you're slamming into the ground and you crash, or you completely... You think you got lined up, and then suddenly the wind pushes your aircraft just enough one way or the other, and when you land, you cannot get the plane to settle down and land on the runway. You end up sliding off, causing you to fail the scenario, and you got to start all over again. And it's mind-blowingly...
The Boston to Providence line stretches for just over 50 miles and connects the state capitals of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. This locomotive is an ACS-64 designed by Siemens Mobility. Also known as the Amtrak City Sprinter, it is capable of a top speed of 125 miles per hour. Train Sim World 2 allows you to ride and drive from a selection of camera views. Let's take a look now while exploring this train.
It really, it makes you question sort of everything you think you know about flying. You come up with a
You've only explored a small area here, so let's take a look at what else there is to enjoy. Welcome to Boston, Massachusetts,
all right.
a historic city located in the heart of New England, famous for its sports teams, art, universities, and colleges. Here you can experience the fastest rail line in America, from modern suburbia to sprawling countryside, linking the state capitals of Massachusetts and Rhode Island, in command of both Amtrak regional and MBTA commuter operations. Along the way, be sure to place route maps, restock fire extinguishers, put up advertisements, and prop up snow shovels. Choose Amtrak Express services or MBTA regional commuter services through the New England suburbs. This is the Northeast Corridor, Boston to Providence.
Yay, us. We don't even get a gold out of that. We don't even get a medal. Good morning, Amela. It's Mick. I'll tell you what. You're gonna have to be in a. I got maybe a little too excited. Like, you start off and you're like, oh, I can do this, and you fly, you do your approach, but you have no navigational
Welcome to
aids
driver
per
training.
se.
Today you
You
will
have
be taken
nothing,
through the
but
operation
you
of
have
an
to kind of think
ACS-64
about your
locomotive in Amtrak livery. Today we'll be adding some additional stops to our service for training purposes. During this brief introduction, we will go through the critical driving controls and passenger operations. When you are ready, climb aboard to get started.
you think, or you come up with something that you think is a reasonable plan for
We'll need to start the battery. Press and hold the battery control button.
for the flight, for this, that. Well, let's get this all
This
done.
locomotive uses a pantograph to draw power from the overhead lines, and we'll need to make sure it's using the rear pantograph.
Okay.
Take a seat in the engineer's position. This is where you'll be spending most of your time. The reverser determines the direction of travel.
Oh, interesting. Okay, you have to set it that way. And
The HEP engine is a smaller, secondary engine to provide power to the coaches for lighting, air conditioning, and heating. Let's start this now. To make sure we can be seen, we'll need to set the lights.
Oh, I didn't know that. Learn something new. Matt's wife's voice. On. Okay. Turn this to passenger. Okay.
Take a quick glance of the platform to ensure all is safe before
Yeah, we already
unlocking the
know
doors.
It's safe to unlock the door. Come on. We're not that numpty. We already know. Oh, it's a blistery day here on the line. So yeah, anyway, it's a wow, that looks pretty sharp, I have to admit. All right, where's the bell doodad? I don't want that bell. Bell off. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so the landing challenges, it starts off very simple. You know, you're like, oh, I can do this, but I think that so there's 3 different levels. You have famous, and then it starts to go up in difficulty, and then the last bunch is all your, you have all these crosswinds, and sometimes you'll kind of go like, oh, you know, this isn't going to go very well. And you start to, or you think in your mind, because you look at all the information kind of coming in, and you think, oh, it's going to, you know, there's no way this is going to work, and you land it, and you're like, oh, that wasn't nearly as bad. And then you have other ones that just, it blows your mind how it's just not working. You know, it's like you think you've got a good plan, you follow what you think is the appropriate route to get to the, you know, lining up and all that kind of thing, and then it all falls apart. So, but we'll talk more about that when we do our flight from Glasgow to Cork this morning, here in a little while. But yeah, let's talk about this route. So, we have this nice Amtrak service here. You know, the Boston to Providence portion of the Northeast Corridor. This is the route that President Biden has ridden through much of his political career when he was a senator. So he's got a lot of personal history associated with this route. I tried for ages trying to turn the engine prime knob. I pushed every... So, yeah, on that one, Mick, that primer knob, apparently, I was looking on the forums yesterday afternoon after because when I couldn't close. Now, if you're starting the aircraft on the ramp, right, instead of as opposed to trying to do, just starting from the takeoff on the runway, you're already lined up and you just have to hit the fly button basically, and it gives you the ability to you're ready to go basically. Oh, there's a lot of things that are not working as intended on that aircraft right now. The developers are aware of it. They've got some fixes ready to go. When those fixes will be available is anybody's guess. So apparently the developers for that aircraft, it's a very, very small team, probably maybe even smaller than Dovetail Games, it sounds like. So there's no telling when we're going to get those fixes. So that's one of the things, and I brought up that I can't close the side door once I am able to get the aircraft started. I had to find that video of somebody that's why I sent you that link. That it's a quick workaround until everything's fixed, that things are more operable. Because the startup, even if you follow the checklist doesn't give you the ability to start the aircraft. So I had to basically ignore the checklist, and I was able to finally get it started. So anyway, so I did a quick flight the other day in the Spitfire. I took off from Hayward, went over to Moffett. It's a very it's hard to control that plane. It's beautiful, but oh my goodness, it's like, it's so jittery. And, you try to make even minor corrections, and it's like, it's all over the place. You're up and down, and like, it's, yeah, good, Mick. Good. Yeah, it's beautiful, like, and taking off is not nearly as difficult as I thought it would be. That's the one thing that I like, is that it was not as difficult as I expected it to be. It was, I powered up, and then the plane just basically kind of leveled itself off, and then I pulled back on the stick, and we were airborne. So, yeah. So it's really cool to get to do that. Well, that 70 came up out of nowhere very quickly. There wasn't even a warning for it that we'd have a minor. Oh, now we have and it reduces right back down. Oh, the games that the speedometer, speed limits play with us, playing with our emotions. But yeah, it's fun. But those, I stayed up way too late last night completing those landing challenges, because some of them, there's one it's the last one on the list for the wind, landing in the wind challenge, and you're in this aerobatic little aircraft, no flaps whatsoever, none. You have no way of really slowing down the aircraft other than going back on the throttle and hoping that you get it right. And even then, when you think, okay, and you're right over the runway and you powered all the way down, it's like it doesn't matter. I would try to hover, kind of just gently glide over and land softly. Nope. I would land, and as soon as I hit the ground, the plane would immediately nose over and crash. And I'm like, what in the world am I doing? So yeah, those, I tell you, those challenges, I have to wonder, and I get, things should be challenging. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But there's times where it just felt like it was so punishingly, ridiculously hard that it was starting to lose its fun factor. But I was like, I'm bound to, and I got a lot of C's, maybe 6 or 7 B's overall, but I got a lot of C's, and I'm just like, I don't care. I just want to be done with this. I was starting to get really frustrated with the level of difficulty, and maybe it's because I'm trying to do all this with a controller instead of an actual flight stick and all that kind of stuff.
You are now approaching South Attleboro. Use the automatic brake to apply braking force and slow the train down.
But yeah, it was... Oh, flight in a private... I think there's a lot of... There seems to be some serious glitches right now. And most everything, because I was going through the forums yesterday, because there was like a bunch of stuff that was unread, that were, recent posts and all that kind of stuff, that I was just kind of perusing through. Everything seemed to suggest that after Sim Update 5, that's when a lot of these issues seem to happen. That everything right up before that, everything was fine, at least for the PC players. But they feel that with the introduction of Sim Update 5 and the release of the game, the pending release on Xbox has essentially ruined everything. Now, since I don't have a PC, or I can only kind of suspect that is the case. But a lot of people, that wasn't a bad stop. A lot of people are still mad about the fact that that Microsoft, in an attempt to get more money, has put the game on console, and how dare they? That's not fair. It's ruined it for everybody else, sort of thing. I almost responded to somebody who is on PC who was complaining about the fact that it's on Xbox now, and say,
Proceed to the next stop at Attleboro, unguided this time, and see how you get on.
Okay. So yeah, a lot of people, even right now, are mad about Update 5, that, because that's all when they were preparing for the release on. I also didn't have contact with ATC, so I didn't know what direction or height to take. That's interesting. I seem to have the complete opposite, Mick. They're always telling me. I don't know. I think there's some major issues, and again, I'm guessing, most people would say it's because of Update 5 is when things kind of fell apart. In some ways, if in a parallel way, kind of like what happened with the introduction of the core updates for this game. Even though people were told numerous times this update is going to make all the graphics for the next-gen consoles significantly better because people invested in a next-gen console. It is only right that we give them a graphical representation that is commensurate with that next-gen console's capabilities, not what the PS4 or older, Xbox Series or Xbox One X's or One S or whatever. You're going to be kind of start getting left behind because we can't keep, catering to the older gen console players, but again, that's part of the problem is that you have, not everybody's been able to get a hold of a next-gen console. Certainly not PS5s. It's, it's almost nigh on the impossible in many cases to get one. So, but yeah, so I think the Sim Update 5 for Microsoft Flight Simulator, there was a lot of, oh boy, I gotta slow way down. I'm not gonna slow down to 30 in time. I wasn't paying attention. I was kind of talking and not watching the speedometer, the speed stuff. So yeah, you can get easily caught out with the speeds on here, that's for sure. So anyway, so yeah, I think that's where a lot of the problems lie, is with the Sim Update 5. We should get Sim Update 6 in about 5 days? Yeah, 5 days. And that's hopefully is going to resolve a lot of issues. Hopefully. But again, as we've seen with a lot of, updates and whatnot recently, the developers can test and retest till they're blue in the face, but if they can't catch everything, and they can't foresee how the system is going to react once the update goes live. It may go fairly well, and it may go fairly wrong, or somewhere in between, you know. So, or it could go extremely well, it could go extremely wrong, you know. So I think that there's, oops, I can speed up. So yeah, but I like, you know, I responded to that person who posted, and I did, you know, kind of give you credit, Mick, for that decision when we decided when we were going into Sacramento and we had to go around and get a different approach. But I say, you know, I feel, you know, I'm making decisions based on what I'm seeing, which I think is what most real-world pilots would do. You know, they wouldn't wait, or, you know, if air traffic control calls in and says, hey, why are you doing these things? You should be here. Well, but my flight plan says I should be, you know. I mean, I get it's a simulator. We don't have that real-world conversation. And I don't know what the rules are for if a pilot says, well, my flight plan says at this point I should be at this altitude. Air traffic control might have a different plan because of other air traffic. So I don't feel always good about ignoring the ATC requests for, you know, go to this altitude, expedite your, you know, climb or descent or whatever the case may be. But it's like, well, I think I'm making good decisions based on what I see in front of me to prepare the aircraft for getting into the approach and going into land. You know, I can react a little bit better. You know, I have time to make better decisions or change things if necessary. So, and the guy he said that's the right attitude to have. You know, even he thought that maybe not using the autopilot, but I don't have a fancy enough system to fly the aircraft otherwise. Trying to do it with the controller is it's near impossible, to be honest. So, I'm glad I did buy the season's pass, got this downloaded. Looks great. I'm happy to finally get a little bit of a different sort of passenger service here in America besides Long Island Railroad and Peninsula Corridor, although, you know, I always love Peninsula Corridor because it's the home route. But this looks good. I'm really excited about doing more services on this route. We'll do scenarios. We're going to do the F-40 training as well, and I think the cab car, if there's a cab car training, I think there is. We're going to do all that today, and then, oh, there was a map back. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to it in time. But anyway, so yeah, that's all what we're going to do today is just the training stuff, just kind of get a good look at what we get with this route. So yeah, looks good. Because I didn't drive Northeast Corridor on Train Sim World 2020, so I missed out on that. I missed out on that sort of.
Good work.
Thing.
That concludes all the basics of operating this train.
Now, yeah, it does. I can't wait to see what the route looks like in actual wintertime when the game will. I guess it's almost like dynamic weather. You know, if it's December and generally in December in Boston and Rhode Island area, you're going to have snow, you know. Okay, that's the cab car one. We're just going to continue on. Next training. Wait, hold on a second. Let's go back here and just take a look. Okay, there's this one, and then this one. Okay. 64-bit. Alright, let's do the F40 PH3C introduction, and then we'll do the cab car. So yeah, I'm excited about this. You know, we're finally getting some different stuff. I'm looking forward to the German route because we're going to have passenger and freight. I wish we could do a bit of freight operations here, as I'm pretty sure freight does roll through here. But probably, in some ways, probably like on Peninsula Corridor, it operates when there's very little to no passenger traffic.
Passenger operations. When you are ready,
for
climb
safety
aboard
reasons.
to get started.
On Friday, now here's the.
Take a seat in the engineer's position. This is where you'll be spending most of your time.
Yeah.
We'll need to start the engine before we can get moving.
Why would I go to the seat if...
The HEP engine is a smaller, secondary engine to provide power to the coaches for lighting, air conditioning, and heating. Let's start this now.
Long hood. And this goes to run. There we are. Turn that to in. Oops. Okay. Leader dead. Run. On and on. On and on.
To make sure we can be seen, we'll need to set the lights. Take a quick glance of the platform to ensure all is safe before unlocking the doors.
Yes, it's safe. So yeah, Friday. So we're gonna do what Microsoft Flight Simulator calls a bush trip, and we are going to discover Denmark. It's a 3-hour tour. The weather shouldn't be rough, and the tiny plane should not be tossed. But for the courage of Clarence, our aircraft could be lost. Anyways, now that we got that out of the way. Yes, so we are going to do a flight. Now, my understanding, because I kind of looked at, because I was thinking about what Amir said about the, he'd like to see a flight. So I can do that. And we can do it so that it also gives us, we're getting something out of it.
The reverser determines the direction of travel.
So,
this train is now ready to depart. Use.
So we're going to do that. We're going to do it's a 3-hour flight. Now, the way that the bush trips work, you cannot use autopilot or anything like that. You have to basically what do you call it? You only have the VFR map and the nav log. and you have to basically kind of follow the the directional. You have a heading, you'll say take up this heading, and you have to kind of go that heading in order to get to the next location that you are trying to basically pick up. So, and you have to so that's the intent behind that. So yeah, that's what we're going to work on Friday. So whatever we do for Train Sim World 2, it's probably going to be a very short sort of time in Train Sim World 2. Maybe no more than half an hour. Maybe, as a matter of fact, I can tell you now what we'll do Fridays. We'll do LGV Mediterranean. We'll do a service one way or the other. I don't know which, but we'll do that. And then we'll probably have a very short break after that's concluded. And then we will get into Flight Simulator, and we'll do that bush flight around Denmark. So I'm kind of really excited to see how that turns out. If we use, there is a feature called Back on Track that if you use that, basically you don't get any credit for. So like that flight, I think if we complete it without using any sort of assistance, then I get an achievement for it. So, yeah. So we're going to go with that. That's the plan, currently. So we're hoping for the achievement. I did get some achievements last night with all the landing stuff. I was able to get a lot of achievements knocked out. So, yay. Let's have a look out here. I do. It's kind of odd seeing the F40 in this purple, gray, yellow, black livery. I don't know. It doesn't really. I mean, I like the idea of, you got this kind of zap along here. I guess it's supposed to make it look fast. I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't kind of. I don't know. Maybe because I'm not from the Boston area, so I don't have that same connection to this livery as I would with the F40 on Peninsula Corridor. And I'm sure some people would say, well, that gray kind of blah livery, I don't know. I don't know. I wish you could maybe, well, I guess you could design your own livery, but it just, I don't know, this looks kind of bleh.
You are now approaching Boston Back Bay. Use the automatic brake to apply braking force and slow the train down.
Well, no kidding. I'm well aware of what to do. This is my first rodeo. Won't be my last either. So yeah. So we're gonna do that on Friday, tomorrow. I'm really excited to give that a go, see how well we fare. Kind of just get to see some sights from the air. Oh, I'm rhyming today, aren't I? So yeah, should be good tomorrow. No, I did that one based on the fact that it's 6 legs to it. I think there was one that was 5, but it just didn't seem very, like, it didn't kind of like go, I didn't think like, oh yeah, this would be fantastic. So, yeah. Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. I think we're in the Cessna 172. So it's a plane that we've flown before, so we're familiar with it, which helps. But I'm really excited to see how this whole thing goes, just to kind of break things up a bit. Oh, stopped a little short. That's okay. We're not too sure about the brakes on this yet, because it is significantly different than the one that we're used to on Peninsula Corridor. This doesn't have the lap brake system. But I wonder, I think if we did a scenario, we'll do that one day, well, we'll do the exchange program. We'll bring Peninsula Corridor F40 and with the gallery cab cars here, and we'll take this system to Peninsula Corridor.
On the way to Ruggles, we will perform a test of the emergency brakes. When you're ready, apply power to continue the journey.
Well, gee whiz, thank you very much for your permission. So, yeah, really excited about that tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing how that whole thing works, and hopefully we'll see some really beautiful sights and whatnot. So, yeah. I feel like this is going to be one of those, we can get wheel slip. We can't go full whack right out the gate like we're used to at Peninsula Corridor. Very easy to get the wheels spinning. That's for sure. So I'm guessing this is when things are going to get ready to fall apart here. I do like this setup here. We can see the speedometer a little bit easier than the one on Peninsula Corridor. So yeah. Oh, I thought we would have had the system would have triggered by now.
We will now begin the test of the emergency brake. Move the automatic brake into emergency.
Well, we know the emergency brake works pretty well.
Now the train has stopped, we can begin to recover it.
Mm-hmm. Put that in neutral.
Apply the independent brake while the automatic brake
Okay.
Now that our brake pressure has recharged, we can release the...
Wow, that was not nearly... That was pretty simple, I think. Wow. Yeah, so there's like 6, you're already airborne, and then you have to basically fly different tracks, so different legs, until you land. But you don't have to take off, although it has like an airport that in theory you've just taken off from, but you're already airborne, but you can't use autopilot or anything else. You have to basically oh, wow. I'm just like going through. Where's my train? Oh, I've lost my train. There it is. So yeah, you just go over, and then we're going to try to pick up some sites along the way, the site markers. Uh, you know, if hello, Ryan, how are you? Um, so yeah, it's just basically you're. I think it gives you like a point where it's like the somewhere famous in Denmark, kind of, and then you fly to there, and then you get to see that interesting point, and then kind of everything around it. I guess I'm not sure. I think that's the intent behind it, Mick. But it's in a way, it's almost like, there's one for like um, I think there's like one for Norway, so you see different. Oh, we stopped kind of short there too. That was some.
Good work.
Yeah, no,
That
I made my
concludes all
train
the basics
disappear.
of operating this train.
I guess I'm good like that. Yay, another gold. All right, let's go back here and do our cab car introduction, and then we'll be wrapping it up for until 9 for our flight sim. Appreciate everybody coming in this morning, hanging out. Glad that we're able to finally include the Boston Sprinter to our repertoire of routes. I can't fly over. We'll do a discovery flight, I think it is. We could do that at some
Welcome to
point.
driver training. Today you will be taken through the operation of a CTC3 cab car in MBTA livery. During this brief introduction, we will go through the critical driving controls and passenger operations. When you are ready, climb aboard to get started. Take a seat in the engineer's position. This is where you'll be spending most of your time.
Okay, where's the door? There it is.
The cab car is powered by the F40PH-3C, and we will need to set it to be the active driving end. To make sure we can be seen, we'll need to set the lights. Take a quick glance of the platform to ensure all is safe before unlocking the doors.
Hello, Joseph. I thought that we were going to be told we just sat down, and now it was like, oh, now you got to run to the other end and throw the switches of the F40. Like, why didn't you tell me to do that first before I sat down? Oh, man. I kind of like the bi-level cab car, but it does seem like it's much easier to get in and out of this part of the train, so great. Oh, there's a collectible right there, it looks like, possibly. I'm good. How are you, Joseph? Lock the doors.
This cab features an in-cab signaling system. Upcoming speed limits will be displayed on the ATC panel. The reverser determines the direction of travel. This train is now ready.
Boy, the brakes take a while to release, that's for sure. Let's put the cab heater on. We can put it on low. Why not? Marker light. Nothing. Oh, cab light. We can turn the cab lights on at least. There we go. Brighten things up a bit here. No, that's too bright, actually. Yeah, looks good. Looks good, drives good, tastes good. It's all good. I better not say taste. Amel will be thinking I'm talking about food. Now, the interesting thing is, on this end, just like on our system on the Peninsula Corridor, there's no nothing to turn the HEP on here in this cab. I don't think. I don't see. Alert to reset. That's a cab signal acknowledged. I don't see the HEP buttons here. So I think if we want power for our passengers to have lights, I mean, no, it's already on. We don't have to worry about it. What am I saying? Okay. There we go. Now we know. Unknowns after battle. G.I. Joe. I don't think so. It's it drives a little different than what we have on Peninsula Corridor, but I think so far it's not too much different. It's just getting used to a slightly different system. But the premise, it's nothing that we haven't done before. It's just knowing where all the buttons are. That's pretty much it. But I don't think it's difficult. It's just the F40 in this system, it's just different because you don't have a lap brake system like we do on Peninsula Corridor. So that's the only major sort of difference. The braking system's different. So you have to kind of get, you just have to get used to that braking system. You got a yard here. Pretty cool. It's like passenger service is waiting to go into service. Yeah, it looks good. I'm pretty happy. Oh, that doesn't look very natural, those trees that way, but now it's kind of rendering in, but that's okay. So I've got the seasons pass. So once I just call it the Dresden route. I don't. Once the Dresden route is released, we will get that automatically, and then also Brighton Main Line. So, yay us. I'm sure everybody is interested to see what the Americans' take is on the Brighton Main Line. I will certainly do my best to live up to the expectations of my friends in the UK and drive the route as professionally as possible. There you go. It has that little kind of a, seems like a toot or something of the horn that gives off the, tells you that you're changing speeds either up or down. Yeah, it looks good. I'm glad I waited. I mean, it wasn't like it was going to go away or anything like that. It was worth the wait. You know, didn't need it right on the 19th. So, yeah, glad to add this to the playlist. I guess if you want to call it that. Well, at least now we get something that people have been asking for. They like American routes, but they wanted more American passenger, not American freight. I wish we could have, I guess I'd have to put it in the forms, following my own, rules, or not rules, but, if people want to say, I want this, or I wish for this, I just need to put it in the form, but if it's possible. I would like to see, because, before Amtrak, all the, what were typically freight services also they had their own passenger services available. So I like to kind of see, like a Union Pacific sort of
You are now
scenario.
approaching South Attleboro. Use the automatic brake to apply braking force and slow the train down.
Yeah, I know. To kind of see, have a bit of that mix, sort of. You have some box cars or whatever, and then you also have some passenger cars. That would be kind of a cool thing, I think, to see, so that you get a bit of both. Mix it up a bit. But this looks good. I think I'm going to enjoy doing some services on this route. And finding all the collectibles, of course. Which I'm going to have to... That'll be off stream, of course. Because I don't think anybody really wants to watch me go from location to location and look for maps and everything else. That can be a bit boring. They want to see trains being driven in anger, as they like to say in the racing world. We'd like to drive our I shouldn't say we'd like to drive our trains in anger, because that's not a very healthy thing. So I think once we got one more, it'd be kind of, oh, now you have to do it on your own. Well, we've been doing it on our own. We know what to do. This isn't our first rodeo, as they like to say. Ooh, we are going to stop well short of our... Oh, well. It's hard to kind of judge how well the brakes work. But we'll get used to it over time, I'm sure. Let's take a look at the P. It just says, welcome to South Attleboro. Since we're not a regularly scheduled service. Anything else? No. I would hate to stand out here waiting for a train in the wintertime. It must just get bitterly cold. Well, at least this person seems to be dressed for the occasion with the puffy jacket. See a couple puffy jackets. Very stylish. Alright, people, if you're going to get on the train, you better get on now.
Lock the doors and apply power to continue.
Oh, well, I guess it's not...
On the way to Attleboro, we'll perform a test of the emergency brakes.
So we are at South Attleboro. Okay. I'm like, I thought we were already at Attleboro. Yeah, exactly. I don't know, maybe they have those kind of electric heaters built in now, possibly. You know, like some restaurants have those heating systems in their like patio areas for like, you know, late spring, early fall, or not spring, but like fall time when it starts to cool down in the evening. So, but yeah, I think overall, if I could say, I think they did a really good job with this route. Looks good. I think that's the that's the ongoing sort of. It's easy to say. It looks good. You know, it's very concise sort of language. It looks good. So yeah, I think it does, and yeah, really looking forward to doing some more on here. Now, the only thing is, quite possibly Saturday there may be no streams whatsoever. I'm waiting to find out, and I may need to go Saturday to go meet up with a veteran to retake some photos for their story. I'm waiting. I should have found out yesterday, but of course that didn't happen. So hopefully, hey, we'll know for sure by tomorrow what Saturday will be like. But if we don't, we will come back here. We'll do maybe a scenario, and then we'll go flying. So I would like to do a flight from this part of America, you know, Boston, or, you know, somewhere in New England, to okay, this is the part where I think there's a 30 coming up, if I remember correctly. So we got to really get on the brakes here. I don't think I'm not going to be able to slow down. Nope. Still going to be speeding. But at least I remembered it this time. So it wasn't like last time where it kind of caught me out. Although I should have remembered earlier than I did. So yeah. So Mick, real quick, talking about flying. Did you do any barrel rolls or any loop-de-loos in the Spitfire when you finally got airborne? Just out of curiosity. And if so, did you giggle like you were a school kid again? If you did, that's good. And if you didn't, that's okay too. But I mean, you kind of, you know, when you do that maneuver, it kind of makes you laugh like a kid again, I think. Alright, we're supposed to get an emergency brake system check, I'm guessing, here pretty soon.
We will now begin the test of the emergency brake. Move the automatic brake into emergency. Now the train has stopped,
pretty good.
We can begin to recover it.
Okay, what do we do? I'm guessing we're supposed to put it into release. Maybe this needs to go to neutral. It doesn't seem like it's recharging. Okay. Well, interesting. It seemed like that took way longer than I expected it to. And it was cool. I punched the air thinking I'm a Top Gun pilot. Speaking of Top Gun, thank you for bringing that up. So, there was supposed to be, this year, November, Top Gun 2, Maverick, was supposed to be released in theaters. That is now being pushed to 2022. Don't know why. Could be the Delta variant. Could be a whole lot of things. Who knows? So the release of the F-18 and all that is delayed until the release of the movie, because the deal was that it would all come up at the same time. So we have to wait for the movie to get that in the flight sim. So, yeah, I saw that on the forums last night too. So I just thought, and some people were saying, well, that's probably why, that link that I sent you before, Mick, where they're talking about like being able to take part in the Reno air races and stuff like that. The virtual version of it will be coming to the game. Now I don't know if that's just for the PC or if that's for PC and console. Only time will tell. But some people thought that that's why some of the content is probably coming sooner rather than later, to kind of cover over for the fact that we're not getting the Top Gun pack, as it were, with the release of the movie in theaters. So, yeah, me too. But but I guess that gives them time to kind of make sure everything's polished as well. So if there's, with that delay, maybe it's a positive thing, because that gives them time to make sure that everything's working, instead of putting it out there and then it just doesn't work as intended. So that gives them the ability. I'm not sure who's developing it, but that gives them time to test everything. So that's a good thing. So yeah, well, I'm looking forward to the movie because I've watched the trailers over and over just to kind of keep that magic alive. And it's one of those movies that I feel like I've been waiting forever for, and I got that kind of giddy feeling when I saw the trailer. The first one, I was like, oh man, I couldn't wait to see this, and I was, of course, everything happened the way it did, and everything's been delayed, and so yeah. I just thought I'd share that news with you, Nick, while we're on the subject. Now, they don't have, just out of curiosity, maybe if you know or not, that's okay. Do they have like a Top Gun sort of program school for fighter pilots in the UK? Or is it, do they have anything like that? Or do you not know? Because you have Top Gun for the Navy, and then you have what they call Red Flag for the Air Force. Is like their version of Top Gun school, I think. Well, it must be, the horn must be from the other end. We don't have the ditch lights. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if they have a very similar fighter pilot training sort of program there in the UK. Like Top Gun. Or is it a multinational sort of training exercise? I think that's what Red Flag is. They have different countries come over to do training with the Air Force. There was actually a movie called Red Flag. And it came out well before Top Gun, but it was nowhere near as popular. Well, a little bit better stop this time. Not by much.
Good work. That concludes all the basics of operating this train.
There we are. Should be another gold. And yes, that's 3 out of 3. Ta-da! We're just raking in the gold. Anyway, well, that will be that for today. Not for today. Pardon my misuse of words here. That will be it for right now. Be back in about an hour 15 minutes. We will be on Microsoft Flight Simulator. We will be back in the Beechcraft Air King 350i, going from Belfast to Cork. We have a couple of top fighter training centers here. Okay. Cool. So anyway, that's going to be it for right now. I will see you in about an hour 15 on Microsoft Flight. God, I cannot talk. Microsoft Flight Simulator. Until then, enjoy the rest of your morning or early